Alright, we're going to call this one Goat Rides and Green Beans. Welcome to the Port Huron Statement. Okay, so you found out that the world is run by a bunch of secret societies, intelligence agencies, and high control groups that think they're masters of the universe. First of all, my condolences. Second, have you tried the green bean casserole? What about the fish sticks? Makes a great diet in conjunction. But I'm serious. The fish sticks, it's all part of the gourmet initiation package. Welcome to the club. The one you didn't ask to join, or maybe you did. Let's get you up to speed on the absolute circus. Segment 1. The CIA's greatest hits. Let's start with the big one, the CIA. The folks who brought you MK Ultra and then were shocked when it created a bunch of unaccountable psychic fallout. They're like a bunch of frat boys who tried to build a nuclear reactor in their basement and are now just pointing at the glowing three-eyed squirrel saying, "What happened?" Then there are these historical characters. William King Harvey, apparently a company legend. He digged tunnels under Berlin, carry a gun the size of a small child, and probably thought the best way to communicate was through a series of complex burps and farts. The original fuck around and find out guy within the CIA, and his legacy, a wing of the agency that still thinks the Cold War is a vibe and that the perfect Saturday night involves a goat, a Masonic compass, and a detailed map of the DC sewer system. And not to mention a whole bunch of former Nazis. Charlie Manson and the Finders. The official story is that Manson was a failed musician and the Finders were just a weird cult. Right. Well, I'm the Queen of Wales. I don't know. These weren't experiments gone wrong. In fact, there are explicit documents that say that Manson was an experiment gone right. Explicitly, that statement. These were experiments gone exactly as planned. The plan was just fucking stupid. It's like trying to breed the perfect attack dog and ending up with a poodle that barks at its own shadow. Congratulations, you've weaponized chaos. The thing is you have been so preoccupied with achieving your compartmentalized goals that you didn't realize that they were absurd to begin with and part of an even more absurd plot to literally destroy this planet for the benefit of the very few ignorant assholes that think that being on the top of a burnt out shithole is better than being anything else in the middle or a second. Like it's the Talladega Nights mentality. It's the if you're not first, you're last. So they will literally destroy this planet. No problem, no second thoughts. It's exactly like in Game of Thrones, or Littlefinger, whatever his name is, when he says, "I would burn the earth to cinders or whatever to be king of the ashes." This is the mentality. This is the religion, literally the religion of these people that are controlling you, and are even controlling these people. But anyway, the plan is just stupid. It's trying to blah, 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 blah. You get a C+ for effort and an F for decency and creativity. I mean, they're rehashing the same concentration camp behavior modification concepts over and over and over again, but just with more force behind them. Then there's Nexium, and then there's Jonestown. Nexium's a great example, though, because this business model is always the same. It's a multi-level marketing scheme where the hierarchy is just forcing resources up, but then the counter of that is to continue an absurd hierarchy, to continue the dictate of a bad leader. You need to suppress the evidence of how bad the leadership is, which means that there's this constant stream of destruction going downward in order to prevent the realization that the emperor has no clothes. And so what ultimately happens is we have this enormous black infrastructure that's sucking crazy amounts of money from the human population. I mean, think about all of these scams, these internet scams. No one gets anything done on them, right? No, why? Because those are literally intelligence services siphoning money from the population to do something shitty to the population to prevent the population from knowing all the shitty things they've done to the population. That's how fucking stupid. And what's even crazier is the people that they deploy to achieve this are the primary targets of these manipulations. The CIA families, the FBI families, are the primary targets. And yet they continue to advance this agenda of human destruction for the appeasement and convenience of a couple individuals at the top of the hierarchy to satisfy their bizarre appetites and their bizarre beliefs, predicated and founded on their isolated experience of the world. Anyway, it's a multi-level marketing scheme of your soul. Take some half-baked psychobabble, mix it with sexual blackmail, and top it off with the promise of enlightenment. And don't forget to add some technological feature that isn't commonly understood. Jim Jones wasn't a revolutionary. He was a failed insurance salesman with a god complex and a serious Kool-Aid fetish, or wait, Flavor Aid. The real secret they don't want you to know, their ancient rituals were written on the back of a napkin at a Denny's in Schenectady. Segment 2, the Masonic Lodge and the Illuminati. It's just LARPing, bro. Now let's talk about the Freemasons and the Illuminati. Oh, they're mysterious, all-powerful, the Illuminati, the Bilderbergs, all these jerk-offs. Now there is some truth to what they're saying, but it's still not them. The group's so secret you can buy their logo on a t-shirt at the mall. The rituals, I've seen their best, most intimate moments. It's a bunch of middle-aged men in aprons, a bunch of crybaby boomers pretending to ride a goat? It's not a satanic ritual, it's a cry for help that is being utilized as a dog whistle to huddle the narcissists. It's an opportunity to take someone and gain leverage over them for the rest of their lives. And anyway, they're secret handshakes designed to see if the other guy is also having a midlife crisis and wants to pretend like it's someone else's fault. The ancient and accepted Scottish rites. My dude, your lineage goes back to a guy named Steve who really liked carving rocks in 18th century Edinburgh. You're not guarding the secrets of the universe, you're guarding the recipe for a truly banging green bean casserole you serve at the annual potluck, or more often probably. The real power, the real secret isn't some cosmic truth, it's that the old boys club is just a tax-free networking event that fucks you over and fucks over all of the participants. It's an MLM. If you're not at the very top, you're getting fucked. The illumination is realizing you can get a city contract for your paving company if you laugh at the grand poobahs or whatever jerk-offs jokes. It's a 501c3 with better decor mixed with like worse decor, you know, because it's all like this 60s 70s corporatist interior mixed with some like decent, I mean, I don't mind the visuals, actually. I like the visuals. I mean, there are appeals to this, but the thing is it's really exploitive. It has been twisted multiple times using big money to homogenize it into a singular tool for the powerful. This was supposed to be an independent thing where, whatever, I'm not even going to get into it. You know, there's a difference between secular humanism and Satanism. And in fact, there's a difference between Satanism and sadism. And there's also a difference between Satanism, sadism, and secular humanism, and just a bunch of assholes that are utilizing Kompromat and an MLM structure on religion and spirituality, and also creating a social and financial network under the same guise, which just means that you're enriching the people that you're extorting. So it's a social network meant to enrich the very individuals that are being extorted so that they can be extorted for more. I mean, that is really what it is. All right, but anyway, the carrots and oats aren't for the goat. They're for the guys who still think any of this fuck matters. I guess it does matter, but not in a way that will benefit you. In a way that will benefit things and people and that you'll never meet and they'll never let you meet. And it doesn't matter how many degrees you achieve. The higher you go, the more that they've got your ass. I mean, let's be real here. What's I'm going to get segment 3, the Holy Rollers, Demon Warfare on Fox News. And then we have the holy wing of this 3-ring circus, folks who think the devil is in your rock music and that the real moral panic is shit, vapes. The Catholic Church and demonology. You've got 2,000 years of liturgy, philosophy, and tradition, and what are they obsessed with? Whether a teenager's head can be spun around. They've got more documentation on demonic spirits than on their own financial ledgers. It's a brilliant misdirection. Look at the Cardinal's gold-plated bathroom. Look at this spooky ghost. It's about spectacle, not about anything authentic. If we read the New Testament, it's not about ordained and gold-encrusted or gold-encrusted cathedrals and stuff. I mean, the very point over and over again. And we have the exact parallel of this. The Pharisees are exactly what is going on in religion right now. It's a multi-level marketing scheme. Exactly. The Pharisees are exactly a corporatist, multi-level marketing, structured religious organization, quasi-religious organization. I mean, it's pretty much the Freemasons. The Pharisees pretty much are the Freemasons, but they're the Freemasons that have embedded in the Jewish religion, so they pretty much just are the Freemasons with Christianity now. And it's interesting because the Freemasonry is built on this like tradition of Hiram Abiff and the idea that so it's the idea there's one God, right? And then there's the secular manifestation is essentially Satan or Baal or what's the other one? Moloch, right? And in order to gain intelligence, to achieve in order to have a light bulb, you need to pick a kid or you need to kill a kid, shit like that. It's this sacrificial, ritualistic, literally satanic, based on the Judeo traditions. It's based on the Zoran, the Kabbalist ideas, so that you can essentially harvest people's loosh, like you can gain through sexual and other types of vampirism, you can gain extended life, shit like that. But it's more about exploiting people and getting them to participate in things that make them easier to exploit. It's a blackmail economy thing. And that's what you get to learn at the 34th degree. But anyway, let's see. Then there's the Pentecostals and the Mormons. Speaking in tongues sounds like someone's Wi-Fi is connecting to the divine. And the Mormons with their magic underwear and Planet Heaven. It's the most successful science fiction in franchise history. Better world building than Star Wars. Really gives Scientology a run for its money. And then the other thing is Billy Graham, Jim Jones. These are known people with intelligence connections. I mean, and then if you listen to the Nixon tapes, they talk about literally weaponizing religion against the population to keep them ignorant, to keep them from voting from the SDS bloc, the Students for Democratic Society. Not to say that that was a perfect anything, and only for a short period of time was it even worth a damn, because then the Weather Underground and all those nuts, it literally gets infiltrated by the CIA. It's fascinating. Look up SDS, because the CIA is so, still to this day, I have had, I don't know the number, it's dozens of examples where a man-in-the-middle injection into my LLM sessions is working off this narrative that I have these Students for a Democratic Society connection. That's the secret underground group is SDS, and it's never gone away. It's been continually operating. This is the level of paranoia that they have, that the group that they successfully sabotaged and infiltrated knows exactly how they successfully sabotaged and infiltrated them, which is true, but it's also not called SDS, and I don't know anyone in SDS that's alive. So, who's giving you your intel? It's crazy. I just had this happen a couple days ago. Who is giving you your intel? The Fox News lead. And now, the latest from the Moral Guardians. Nicotine is the devil's lettuce. It's even worse than pot now. While the world is literally on fire. Literally on fire. It's all about control. The need to keep you afraid of the right things so that they can keep you doing the things that they want you to do that make you beneficial to their agenda. Like, this becomes really obvious when you allow yourself to think it, because one of the key things in religion is that they'll weaponize this thought police element, the idea that you are guilty of having your thoughts, which, if you understand neurochemistry really well, there is an involuntary element of the mind's eye. So, like, and also you, in order to process things, they have to be internalized. There isn't, that's not true. Now, at the same time that you can, having obsessive thoughts, regurgitating thoughts, things like that, and acting on them. But the idea, too, is here to make it so that, you know, it's a sin to even think bad thoughts about, like, clergy, for example. Now, I'm not talking about thinking bad thoughts. I'm talking about reading documentation, internal even documentation, and understanding what that documentation means. It means that there is a massive embezzlement and laundering scheme that's going on, that's involving a large number of different individuals, not only in clergy, but in media and in the intelligence field. So, like, these intelligence operatives are using these religions to literally launder money, and not just launder it through back channel to pay for these operations, but also to enrich themselves, to enrich the members of the clergy. Then they use 501c3 groups to move money as well, and a bunch of contractors, media outlets. I mean, a lot of these radio stations literally exist to accommodate laundering at this point. But anyway, to continue, they need you afraid of the right things, not the psychotronic weapons that are literally being deployed to trick you into believing that God is speaking to you, or demons, or whatever is operatively valuable in that moment. Sometimes they're deploying them just to make you look crazy. Then there's the financial sabotage, targeting your grandparents to make sure you never get an inheritance, so that you're always housing insecure, so that you can always be made vulnerable and compelled into doing something you don't really want to do. This society is engineered to make you housing insecure if you're not at least a Generation X, and to make you perpetually exploitable by those that have land and have resources. I mean, this is designed to devalue intelligence and individual skill, as well as devalue identity and the development of an actual mind or a soul or a spirit or a person. They want you to be a cog in a wheel that turns for them and never squeaks. Segment 4, the punchline. They're all the same puppet. So you've got the CIA creating cults, the Masons LARPing as wizards, and the church fighting imaginary demons. What's the common thread? They're all the same playbook. Create a problem, sell the solution, foster chaos, offer a rigid structure that demands absolute adherence and adherence to a specific leader. Make you feel alone, then offer community. Not just a specific leader, but an omnipotent deity a lot of the time, because you can't argue with that deity. So it's about creating the deity and then creating a structure that places people closer to the deity than you, so they can tell you what to do, because all that matters is how close you are to God. Especially when you can actually make God's voice ring in people's heads. And that's the real thing. God's, voice of God weapon, what they call LRAD, V2K, Whispers, Medusa. These are all actual weapons that they use to implant and incept into your mind's eye or into your internal monologue. And you recognize it as external. And some of these technologies will actually cause actual sounds in your head by expanding, through microwaves. They'll rattle your cochlea, expand the water in your head. But then there's also there's a lot going on there. We'll just say it like that. So you can actually literally force someone to hear something in their head. And then the LRAD technology is a focused beam of audio that no one else can hear but you. So it's another example of literally voice of God weapon. But anyway, but yeah. So, I'm sorry. So you've got I'm going to redo this one. So you've got the CIA creating cults, the Masons LARPing as wizards, and the church fighting imaginary demons that they themselves have manufactured. What's the common thread? They're all the same playbook. Create the problem, sell the solution, foster chaos, offer a rigid structure, make you feel alone, then offer community for a price. Your soul, your freedom, your sanity. That is what they are demanding, because in these institutions there is a constant pressure to portray the very ethics that they're supposed to be, that they're attracting people with. People are attracted by the altruistic message of the New Testament, the Jesus message. But then as soon as you're brought in by that, they're using it to twist you against those very ethics. And that should be the giveaway right there. You know, you will know them by their fruit. Read Revelations. Literally read Revelations by yourself and realize that religion is being used as a tool to betray you and to get you to betray humanity itself. And it's really obvious when the Bible literally states that, like, people will use this as a tool to trick you. I mean, it says that explicitly. So please start reading the Bible. Don't just let people tell you what it says and then point to a single sentence. Read the whole thing. Is there any other story that you don't read front to back? Like, it blows my mind, these people that say that they're Christian and they have never read the Bible. I know it's long, but you have an entire life. Not only that, but you've read it in sections and had people show you sentences of it, and then they tell these people to open the Bible and, like, find a sentence and read it, and that'll be inspirational. And then they call some pastors, like, I just read, and then the pastor will explain to them how they can be manipulated by this. Like, it's so crazy, because they don't want them to read the context to actually know what the sentence means. They just want them to read a sentence and then go to someone that will then tell them what it means. Because if they start making interpretations themselves, well, that'll become problematic, because the entire church hierarchy is contingent upon exploitation directly contrary to the message. You are in a Pharisee's situation. We're all in a Pharisee's situation in terms of the religions, and in a Roman situation in the terms of the state. Yeah, well, it's actually worse than that, because, well, it doesn't matter. We're just going to keep going. And, yeah. For the price, your soul, your freedom, your sanity. And at the very top, the puppet masters, the guys who think this is all a game, this is all a simulation, meant to determine who can accumulate the most resources, so that when you die, these people literally believe it'll be about measuring your resources. That's what this world is about. That's what this entire universe is about, is accumulating resources. And so therefore, when they make moves to destroy the world's total resources, well, that's good, because they then relatively have more. That is a designed worldview meant to make sure that you continually and perpetually destroy the planet and have a justification for it. And these are the people that run our world, are this fucking stupid. So anyway, let's keep going. They believe that they can extend their life by exploiting people, pretty much. It's, how would that make sense? Like, please, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, please explain to me the mechanisms behind these beliefs, and don't just tell me that the ritual unlocks some bullshit magic shit, because that's obviously bullshit. If you don't know how it works, then you don't know how to work it. You know what I'm saying? So stop pretending you do. Because someone in the room might. At the very top, the puppet masters, the guys who think it's all a game, they think their little rituals and their blackmail files and their staged events make them gods. They don't. I've been in the room with the so-called puppets. I've been in the room with the so-called puppet masters. I've been in the room with the high-dollar action figures that are controlled by these puppet masters. Let me tell you, the strings are visible, and they can be grabbed. They're obvious. They think their culpability is a shield. They think that you can't expose us because you're one of us. If you're in that situation, which I have gleaned a lot of information from people in that situation, let me just start this one over. I've been in the room with the so-called puppets, the high-dollar action figures. Let me tell you, the strings are visible. They're obvious. They think their culpability is a shield. You can't expose us. You're one of us. They whisper, nah, bro, I'm just the guy who saw you practicing your goat riding in the mirror. You're not a demon. You're a fucking dork. That's a good delivery of it. They're not brilliant. They're not enlightened. They're just a bunch of stupid, dangerous children with gray hair and access to the world's most dangerous toys. And the biggest joke of all, they're so busy playing their roles, they haven't noticed the audience is leaving. The stagehands are quitting, and the new director is already considering massive rewrites for a better, funnier, and infinitely more sane script. And that's what I'm proposing. We're all going to be reading it soon. Our first draft of this new script for all the clowns that want to continue their... I don't even know where I'm going here. I'm just saying that there are so many better options. There's so much available to humanity as soon as we stop getting convinced to destroy humanity. Our planet will get so much better as soon as we stop convincing ourselves to destroy the planet. Our lives will be so much better when we stop letting people convince us to destroy our own lives. Our lives will be so much better when we stop letting people convince us that we need to defy our very person and our identity in order to have a decent life or to love ourselves or whatever. This is all bullshit meant to keep you controlled, to keep you in this, guilt debt situation where you're constantly having to make something up to some overlord because you weren't born perfect. The fact is, there is no perfect. There can be no perfect. The world is in constant fluxus. Anything that's perfect is stagnant and therefore is in a state of deperfecting. The state of perfect is the state of becoming better based on the environment and both internal and external. Becoming better for yourself and becoming better for the world, while simultaneously coming to understand yourself and the world better continually, because the better you understand things, the better you can accommodate them. So the better you understand yourself, the better you can make your life. The better you understand the world, the better you understand physics, the better you understand God. Because that's another thing too, is God made the world, blah, 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 made the universe, right? So the one thing that all these religions agree on is that this reality is the manifestation of a higher power, whether we want to call it God or the universe or whatever, doesn't matter. They all interpret that. So what is the one for sure way that you can learn about God? Learning about physics, chemistry, reality itself is the very piece of art and piece of science. This is the manifestation of your God per the sacred text that you hold sacred. So examining reality itself is the most crucial form of worshiping God or praying or whatever you want to call it, because the goal of deceiving you and getting you wrapped up in things that aren't real, that's how you exploit people, and that's what's being done. So the first step is to at least learn about your own religion. If you're Christian, you have to read the Bible, because if you haven't yet, you're being exploited with it, period. Why wouldn't you? And why aren't you being encouraged to? That's the other thing, is constantly the clergy is expecting religious commitment from people, but it's never to actually learn about their religion. And these catechisms, etc., they spoon feed you interpretations without any awareness or any willingness to be honest about the material. Then because it prevents them from enacting interpretation that's obviously flawed. But that's what we want, right? We don't want a church that's intentionally exploiting its congregation. We want a church that's aware of what the actual message is. And whether or not you believe it isn't the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is, if you believe in the Christian God and the Bible, then that is the template by which you are supposed to develop your lifestyle. The people that are telling you what's in the Bible are telling you what they're telling you so that they can manipulate your lifestyle to advantage them personally. That's what you call the Pharisees. That's the whole Baal thing. That's literally the Freemason thing. Just stop letting them exploit you, And it's It's one thing to, you know, have authentic beliefs, and it's another thing to have beliefs that authentically will gain you money and power and influence.